by three very distinguished gentlemen. With us today is Chris Hall. He is from Sibos Issues. Also with us, Richard Schwartz from Sibos Issues. And last but not least, David Bannister, Editor-in-Chief of Banking and Technology and Daily News at Sibos. Gentlemen, nice of you all to come in. Thanks very much. And the good news is we're going to be seeing them tomorrow and on Thursday. So we're making sure we get you up very early. So Chris, let's start with you. I know for you, one of the things that was very interesting was some of the comments that we heard in the opening plenary, and you've put that on the front page. I'll just hold that up. Sibos Issues, the front page. Tell everybody about the story you wanted to mention here.
Well, I think John Havens of Citi was really asking the whole industry, are you fit for growth? And that amounts to both banks and market infrastructures and indeed SWIFT. I think that he feels that that although there might be a historic kind of shift of economic activity from west to east, that is no reason why banks need to miss out, and there's a great opportunity if they can help build the capital markets, build the banking services that are going to be needed in developing countries over the next 20, 30 years. Okay, well, we have some of the comments that we heard from John Havens in that opening plenary. Let's have a listen to some of the things that he had to say.
Financial institutions will also need to help developing economies build out their financial infrastructures. For instance, by establishing fast and reliable clearing and payment systems, which are critical to the growth of these economies.
The other topic that you were telling me was very interesting to you was SEPA, and of course we yesterday on Sibos TV talked a lot about it. So I'll just hold this up in the paper you had there. Tell us and everybody who are watching what you wanted to discuss here.
Well, I think it's just very, very interesting that we're talking about SEPA again at Sibos. It's a hardy perennial topic, really, I think, but we're talking about it in North America. Where there is a huge amount of interest, and I think that interest is global. Can the infrastructure be built so that a single currency can operate in a range of different countries in a particular region? The jury is still out this far into the project. And a lot of people are wondering whether different countries, they've had different progress areas with regards to this. Some of them have missed deadlines, some of them have gone ahead. So are we going to really see one EU-wide SEPA or lots of fragmented mini SEPAs? And I think that's the risk there. Richard, if I can go to you, SWIFT Index, that's definitely one of the big stories coming out of this conference. Tell us about that, because that was the area you wanted to chat about.
Yes, in today's paper we've got an innovation. We haven't published this before, and we'll be doing this every day. SWIFT traffic highlights. Now,
and we have a graphic that we can show, so we'll put that graphic up and tell us what we'll be looking at.
Okay, basically what we have is two sets of data, one showing daily traffic evolution for FIN messages, and the other one is year-to-date traffic by region. So that's an example of one of the year-to-date graphs. What's interesting about this is that we get this information very quickly in near real time. So in today's paper, we have the daily traffic data for SWIFT up to and including Friday of last week. Why is this interesting? Well, studies have been done to show that this data correlates very closely to other measures of economic trends, particularly GDP. And today, there's a session on the SWIFT Index where I'm hoping to hear exactly how this data can be used to help SWIFT customers make economic decisions because it's available so quickly. And there's not that much data of this kind that is available that quickly.
Yes, so you're saying instead of having to wait until GDP numbers come out or consumer confidence or whatever, you can amalgamate all of this data and use it as a predictive instrument, if you like, a tool for people.
Yes, now there are two levels of prediction, of course. There's nowcasting or nearcasting and looking further out. I think we'll get an explanation today of how it can be used in both of those two contexts. Or just one point on the data in today's paper. August is normally a rather quiet month for SWIFT. And this past August had a peak day. And I think we say it's one of the highest peak months
that we've
for
seen
Swift,
so far.
that's
Thanks very
unusual.
much. That's Richard. And David, if I can get to you. David's been doing all kinds of things, everybody, at Swift, including cooking lessons. So let's talk about, we'll get to the cooking in a minute, but let's talk about some of the surprising things that you found at the conference this year.
Oh, yeah, well, for me, the most surprising thing was with the daily news at Sibos that will be available later after this broadcast, is that our lead story, when I was watching the paper go together yesterday, actually came from the Inno Tribe sessions, which is a bit of a first for us, and for me personally, it's a bit of a surprise because I've always been skeptical about that strand. And it kind of knocked off the front page some of the things that were the SEPA issues and the warnings around mobile that people were making. But it was really the Brett King session on the Moven Bank and where we can go in terms of identity. And I think identity is going to be a big theme the next few days.
Okay.
So that was a big surprise for me.
And then you did some cooking. Tell
I
us
didn't
about
do any
that.
cooking. No, I didn't. I watched a cooking demonstration. I spent a lot of time yesterday down with the Standards Forum people, where I'm doing a couple of sessions there, and trying to explain the ISO 20022 to XML standard was a very good demonstration of how to cook a Melanzana Parmigiano. So I didn't pronounce that right, and that's part of the problem with languages. And the quote of the day for me was the lady who demonstrated the cooking session said that interoperability is entirely about the peaceful coexistence between eggplants and aubergines.
You didn't bring any for us this morning.
We ate it all.
It was that good. Jamie Oliver, look out. And then coming back, what are the things that you're looking at today?
Well, today, actually, I'm spending a lot of time down on the Standards Forum, but one of the big themes we've got is the collaboration that's going on. And Chris mentioned about how the whole thing affects the global economy, and we must pull these things together. And some of the stuff that's going on with SEPA. We've got stuff going on with vendors, banks, trying to collaborate, trying to join together and share experiences. We have a session on Buy-in, which is where the vendors are actually coming together, not for profit for once.
Okay, I want to come back to you, Chris, because again, let's wrap this all up with some of the comments that we heard you thought were very interesting from John Havens again in the opening plenary.
Well, the issue of bank collaboration is always one that's kind of filled with tension. Where do banks compete? Where do they collaborate? And obviously, the biggest example that most people can think of, especially around this time of year in terms of bank collaboration, is the creation and the development of Swift. And it was interesting that both the chairman and CEO of Swift in the plenary session yesterday made it quite clear that Swift is there, ready and able to take direction from banks on the kind of market infrastructure support that Swift can provide. Is it in mobile payments? Is it in workers' remittances? Swift has already conducted a lot of discussions with the industry, but there still needs to be more in order to decide what the priorities should be. And I think Havens reflected that.
Okay, well, let's hear a little bit more about what he had to say.
SWIFT should similarly focus on supporting growth in the emerging markets. SWIFT has successfully focused on dramatically reducing costs and is actively engaged, all of us, about its strategic direction. Now we need you to be even more focused on the emerging markets, to look at the emerging flows of commerce and address gaps in other parts of the world.
That was John Havens there, the president and COO of Citigroup, speaking at the opening plenary yesterday, day one of Sibos. We're looking forward tomorrow. Heaven knows what you're going to talk about and do today. I mean, if cooking was yesterday, you never know. So we look forward to seeing you all on our What the Papers Say segment tomorrow.